Yo, what's up YouTube? It's Funky Bunch here with my first YouTube video, and today we're going to be breaking down Lewis versus Nascimento. First fight up is JJ Aldrich versus Veronica Hardy, and let's get into it. JJ Aldrich, while looking at the tape, I'd say JJ Aldrich is a good striker, has been in the UFC a really long time, understands distance control, and her 1-2s are really good. The problem with her is that she doesn't really mix in a lot of different types of strikes. She has body kicks that she works the body a little bit, but I'd say little to no leg kicks. Pretty much just like a head hunter, kind of like a nothing burger power either. So she's kind of a decision berg. Um, but I'd say I really like how she does things in steps, similar to when she decides to wrestle. She mixes in wrestling. Later on in the fight, I'd say she picks up the pace. If she realizes that she's down, I'd say she will either work in takedowns, up the intensity and pace. But I'd say overall, she's a decision fighter, and I'd say a lot of people, it looks like a lot of people are picking Hardy, 68% on Tapology. And my pick is JJ Aldridge by decision, and if you guys don't really agree with that, I feel like JJ Aldridge by 3.5. If you're a betting standpoint, I'd say 3.5 is definitely like a pretty confident pick for me. I have medium confidence in JJ Aldridge. On the other side, I mean Veronica Hardy is good. She has good intensity. I'd say she took a decent break. She what 3 fights ago she had a fight 4 years ago, and then she took a break. This is at 135. She's kind of similar to JJ Aldrich in the aspect of she stays on the outside, blitz attacks. She brings the intensity. She definitely has more power and intensity than JJ Aldrich, which is the upside for her. She doesn't give up. She can get tired. She can get taken down. And I'd say overall, my pick has definitely got to be JJ Aldrich. Looking at the tape, it just seemed like JJ Aldrich is gonna piece her on the outside, and then coming in, she has the more technical punches. So if both of them blitz attack, I'd say JJ Aldrich will come on the upside and then win by unanimous decision 30-27. Next fight up is Jake Hadley versus Charles Johnson. And let's get the breakdown. To me, I'd say Jake Hadley definitely has the power advantage. He looks more intense, but Johnson is definitely a crafty guy. He mixes in wrestling on his own, but I feel like his kryptonite is a bit wrestling. I mean, recently he's fought only pretty much Osborne isn't really a wrestler, but he works in takedowns. Durden, hardcore wrestler. Estevam, he was just piecing him up in that fight, especially in the third round. Estevam could take him down pretty much anytime he wanted to, except the third round when he ended up gassing. Johnson has a gas tank and is always live. I feel like even against people he shouldn't win, like the Maxim fight. Maxim was a decent favorite. I mean, and I'd say he's just tough. He's been in the UFC for a while. He's tough. He is a veteran. And Hadley, to me, watching the tape, Hadley just I don't know. He also struggles with wrestling, but he has pretty crafty submission attempts. Anytime that he's on the ground, he'll look for something like a leg lock or just try to scramble out. I'd say just based off that he looks more intense, has more power, and is looking to finish the fight more and has more pressure in the fight, I'd say my pick is going to be Jake Hadley by decision. Next up is Trey Waters versus Billy Goff. So looking at the tape, Billy Goff is just like a guy that you cannot hate. Like he brings the heat, he comes forward, the pressure is crazy. He gets hit. That's the problem with him. I'd say he gets hit way too much. He's definitely gonna be like later on in his career if he is in the UFC, that's gonna be his problem. He's gonna get go against too high competition where they can just control him and not be able to get pressured by him so much. I'd say Trey Waters, he struggles with pressure. I'd say anytime that he's gotten pressured, he way overthrows his punches, and I'd say I don't know, he can definitely knock him out. I think this fight is definitely going to the finish. It's gonna be finished by knockout, and I'd say Billy Goff. It seems like unless he's fighting a really elite, or not even elite, just like a really good striker, he's probably just gonna be able to win. I mean, the problem is if Trey Waters doesn't give up or it doesn't break, then Billy Goff is gonna get cooked. And I'd say he can. I mean, Trey Waters' way to win is to stay on the outside and just piece him up with leg kicks and jabs. I'd say if Billy Goff can close the distance, work in takedowns, and just pressure him and make him tired, because Billy Goff is like one of those like Justin Gaethje fighters like early on where Justin Gaethje would just go all out and then both people would be tired and then Justin Gaethje would just be better tired. So I think Billy Goff, even tired, he'll take the win, and that's why I have Billy Goff, just because I don't think Trey Waters is at that level where he can avoid all this pressure, all these takedowns, and I think he'll gas out. And I have it second round knockout for Billy Goff. Next up is Tabitha Reese versus Tisha Pennington. So when I was doing research on this fight, I'd say both of them are just like the decision berg of decision bergs. I'd say definitely Reese has the finishing advantage, but this fight is definitely going to the finish. I'm pretty medium to high confidence on it. I'd say this fight it should be like a pick'em fight. I'd say the fact that 80% are picking Reese is kind of crazy to me. My pick is going to be Torres by decision, and I'd say that 3.5 on Torres is definitely going to be good. She's been out for what, 2 years. She had a baby. That's the downfall for sure, and maybe that's why a lot of people are picking her, picking Reese. But I mean, 13-6, 34. That's also not the best for women's MMA. I'd say Mackenzie Dern. That was a close fight. Angela Hill, proven to be at UFC level. I mean, Tabitha Reese is definitely UFC level, but I mean, she definitely has good wins, and she only has really good losses. Like this, Marina Rodriguez, really good loss. Zhang, good loss. Jan Jacek, good loss. Andrade, all these people are beating Reese. That's for damn sure. And I feel like, I mean, out of all those, I think Rodriguez is the only one that can lose to her by like just getting taken down by Reese. And Reese has good takedowns, and she's not too bad on the feet either. I'd say this is a close fight. Really low confidence, but I'd say I feel like Pennington can definitely even get takedowns on Reese and just will be able to stay on the outside, leg kick her way to a boring decision victory. Maybe a split decision, but I think it's going to be a close fight, but I have Pennington winning. Next up is Terrence McKinney versus Esteban Ribovics. Oops. Looking up this fight, I actually have this fight going by finish for Ribovics by submission. The reason why I say submission, even though he is a striker that is pretty good at striking and pretty technical, and the reason why I have him winning is just because I feel like he has more, not more ways to win, but like he's more technical on the feet. So McKinney does have a lot of holes in his game, but he's very a finish or bust fighter. If he doesn't finish you in the first, maybe second, then he's getting finished himself, and he just brings the heat. That's what you gotta love about Terrence McKinney. It feels like he just wants to just get in there and get out as fast as possible, whether he wins or loses. Which is also the reason why I feel like I don't want to pick him, is because it seems like he doesn't care too much on the loss. He's not happy to lose, but he has a smile on his face if you lose. And I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, he's gotten to the high level and he's beaten really good people, even like Matt Frivola. I'd say, like, looking at his last, like this win is pretty much a nothing expected to win, and he's finishing. So I mean, I feel like in any of his losses, he has a chance to win, like in the fight where he has like an opportunity, either has their back. Ribovics, I feel like the only reason I have him winning is because he doesn't look too bad off the ground, and he is really good at a Kimura. Like that seems like his best way to either get up off the ground, off a takedown, or just to scramble off of it, or just use it as to finish. So I'd say I have Terrence McKinney coming out strong. This is really low confidence for Ribovics, but Terrence McKinney can definitely win, and I'd say he can win by finish. This fight's definitely going finish. Terrence McKinney, I think he'll look to stay on the feet for a little bit, take him down. Ribovics will either win by Kimura or be able to get his back. I feel like the fact that Terrence McKinney kind of gives up sometimes will be why he will submit him. And even if Ribovics is able to piece him up on the feet because he's more technical, even in the later rounds, I don't even think it's gonna go that late. But if it does, I feel like he'll be able to piece him up on the feet and then just look for the submission. Next up is Chase Hooper versus Vyacheslav Borishev. And this is definitely my highest confident pick in a really, really long time. I feel like other than like a Makachev, even like Makachev versus Poirier, I feel like Makachev is definitely gonna smoke him. But this is like I'm surprised on how the odds are what the odds are. Borshev is an elite striker. He has been taken down, and that's the downfall of him for sure, that his wrestling isn't as good. But Chase Hooper is not going to take him down. I feel like Chase Hooper is wild on the feet. He's really dangerous on the ground. He can definitely submit Borshev, but I don't see how he gets to the ground. Borshev is not going to try to take him down. Chase Hooper can't take him down. I mean, maybe he can take him down, but he's not really good at takedowns, so I don't see how it's gonna go there. And the problem is with Chase Hooper's fights, like just looking at like Steve Garcia, his last loss. Steve Garcia is not like a crazy striker, but he's definitely good with good power. But looking at that fight, he got knocked down 3 times, and he didn't even attempt one takedown while he was hurt. He's not trying to clinch up. He's not trying to do any of that. And Borishev is just too clean on the feet. I really like him here. And I'd say the fact that there's 36% is just nuts to me. I feel like Borshev is just going to knock him out in the first round. He's going to knock him out for sure. He's going to knock him out in the first. I say people picking Chase Hooper are just they are not looking at the tape. I don't know how the odds are even. To be fair, the bookmakers I feel like got it completely wrong. Borishev is his fault is wrestling, but Chase Hooper is no wrestler. He's a jiu-jitsu guy that pulls guard, that doesn't really get takedowns, and he's not going to be able to get to the ground. Borshev is just miles better than him on the feet, and I'm crazy confident in him and confident in the KO. So Borshev by first round KO. Next up is Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Robelis de Spain. This is the main card. Just looking at the fights of Despain, he really hasn't fought anybody that good other than Parisian. In that fight, I even bet like a tiny bit on Parisian just to see if he would fraud check him, but he clearly has the power. I mean, like all these wins, like these people that he's fought have like no like 0 and 0, 0 and 0, 0 and 0, 1 and 0. So it they have a losing record right now, all those people. And I'd say the fact that he's knocking out these people with no experience, like it doesn't you can't really weigh it too much because they don't have experience. And Walter Cortez is definitely like legit outside the top 15. I'd say the reason why I have the Spain by KO is because Waldo just I don't see. I feel like the only way he wins is by clinching him or in looking for takedowns, because the one fight that the Spain had, let's take a look. I looked at all his fights. I mean, they're ending in like seconds, so there's not much tape study to do. But this where is it? This fight right here, the first fight that he had. The problem that he had with that fight, and the reason why it even lasted so much longer than every single other fight, is that he got clinched up. He got pushed up on the cage, and the guy just held on to him. But the problem with that was that this Spain couldn't like strength out of it. Like he didn't look too strong in the clinch, and I'd say I don't know. I don't see Cortez doing that. He has only shot for one takedown in his whole UFC career. He is not a wrestler. He's a striker. He throws his punches like his power punch is thrown like he's back playing baseball. So I'd say he's not technical enough to like do something different that the other people couldn't do. And I feel like this Spain seems like he's just too long. He has like I think like a 6-inch reach advantage over him. Um, he's really tall. He's really big. I don't see. I think Despain is definitely gonna get not necessarily fraud checked, but I don't think this is the fight to fraud check him. And him by KO seems like the most likely thing in the first round. I mean, if it goes past, I still think he can KO him. His leg kicks are really good. His head kicks are really good. He throws punches even walking backwards. Waldo Cortez, he's not gonna go for takedowns. I feel like if you're picking Waldo, I don't know, maybe by decision. I don't know. I mean, Despain is definitely unproven. He hasn't went past the second round, and that's why I have like medium confidence on him because he there's realistically he could get fraud checked here, but I just don't think Waldo Cortez is the guy to do it, and I think he's gonna knock him out in the first round. And I think the next matchup, if Despain knocks out Waldo Acosta, Cortez Acosta right now in the first round, or just knocks him out in general, I think the next matchup that the UFC is gonna give him is like Rosenstrike or like a Tai Tuivasa, which is like another like semi layup because Cortez, they're not gonna give him like a wrestler, and I feel like this is just destined for Despain to win. They're kind of giving him like a easy run probably, and I think like Rosenstrike or Tai Tuivasa is gonna be the next matchup for him after he knocks out uh, Acosta. Next up is Alex Caceres versus Sean Woodson. I'd say I have low confidence in this. I have Woodson by decision. I'd say this can easily go to a split decision. Caceres, I feel like the 3.5 on him is not too bad. I'd say Caceres, he has been in the UFC for such a long time. He's a veteran, and like just looking at all these, in 2014 he was in the UFC. He's beaten decent people. He's also lost to people. I mean, Giga Chikazian, that's a pretty good striker to be fair. I'd say he is really crafty. He has really good leg kicks, really good head kicks. I mean, he had a nasty knockout against Erosa, which was like crazy that his hips could even bend like that. Sean Woodson. Sean Woodson is gonna be my pick just because he can mix in the wrestling. He is pretty rangy. He also is good at kicks. I'd say, I mean, his wins. Charles Jourdain was. I had him against Charles Jourdain when he was like the plus 170 underdog. I'd say this was a good win, but he didn't look crazy good in it. Bazooka, I mean, he's kind of expected to beat him. I mean, I have him winning, but it's pretty low confidence, and I think he's gonna win by decision. It could be a split decision. I definitely think this is gonna be a close fight. The breakdown isn't too much, just because I'd say both of them are really good at leg kicks. The output from both of them is pretty good. Caceres has good, like I'd say he has more intensity than him, and kind of seems like he wants it a little bit more. And Woodson kind of like trolls around and tries to do like mocking things. But I'd say just from the wrestling standpoint, and then he mixes in wrestling and Caceres can get taken down. I'd say Woodson is gonna edge him out in the decision. Next up is Diego Ferreira versus Mateus Rebecki. My confidence on this is definitely pretty high, medium to high confidence by KO too. I think Rebecki, I've really liked him in the UFC. Um, I mean, his wins aren't like crazy. This is a decent win. I mean, he has what, 3 wins in one contender series. Nick Fiore, not that good. I mean, the fact that he decisioned him isn't the best, but I mean, he destroyed him that fight. This is a decent win against this guy, like Radzibov. Roberts, I mean, it was kind of like a nothing burger. I mean, he's expected to destroy him. Ferreira is coming off a knockout win against Johnson, which is a good win. I'd say the fact that he knocked him out shows that he has power, but he is more of a grappler for sure. He's a jiu-jitsu fighter. Um, he is actually really crafty. I think that his takedown defense is just leg locks. He will go for leg locks all day, and he will use them to scramble or even try to finish with them. He is really good on top. He's really good on bottom. I'd say Rebecki can take him down, and Rebecki is like a striker that likes to wrestle, and he has good grappling too. But I'd say just stay on the feet with this one. I feel like Rebecki can easily knock him out, and I think he's gonna knock him out in the first round just because the pace that Rebecki puts is just so high. Like I mean, like obviously 155 has a high pace, but I'd say Rebecki just comes out too hard. His first and second round, it's hard to to survive that. I feel like. I mean, Nick Fiore did it, so I mean, definitely Diego Ferreira is tough enough. But I mean, looking at Diego Ferreira, I'd say getting knocked out by Gamrot, it was like a knee to the liver, I think. I'd say, I don't know, getting knocked out by Gamrot or even getting finished by him is pretty hard pressed. Gregor Gillespie. I mean, the thing is with Diego Ferreira, he could fraud check Rebecca, but I can't really see it. I mean, he has really good losses. Like looking at, I mean, his wins are good too, but like Dustin Poirier, Dariush, Gregor Gillespie, Gamrot, those are all high level people. Rebecca hasn't faced anybody like crazy high. Yeah, he hasn't really faced anybody high, but he's not like losing to anybody bad. I mean, he has one loss. I'd say Rebecca by KO is definitely the way to go, and I think the pace that he's gonna put on him is just not gonna be able to handle it. And he's also what 39 years old. I mean, he's 31. That could be his prime, and I think he is getting better each fight. 39, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like the best play, and I'd say anyone picking Ferreira just, I don't know, hard pressed. Maybe like a Ferreira. The only thing I can think of is Rebecca does tend to gas towards the third round just because of the pace he's putting. Ferreira by like third round submission, maybe, but I'd say medium high confidence on Rebecca, and confidence in the KO is there too. Next up, Alonzo Menafield versus Carlos Ulberg. This is another one where I'm just like pretty high confidence on Ulberg. I feel like, I mean, it's medium high confidence on Ulberg, and the KO is just, I don't see how he. I think this fight is definitely going to finish. I don't really see how it doesn't go finish. Menafield, really powerful guy, has no, like, not much technique. I'd say that he is just really powerful. Like, he is always live to crack you. And but the thing is with Carlos Ulberg, he has really good distance control. He stays on the outside. He'll piece you up and just run away. Like he looks like he's just running in the fight, to be fair, but he's just really good at striking. He is far better than Menafield, and the only way he loses is by knockout. I feel like the decision is, like, if it goes to decision, it's definitely gonna be Ulberg. I have Ulberg winning by KO just because he is just clean on the feet. He picks his shots. He stays on the outside. He doesn't get hit much. Um, I don't even know how Menafield is ranked number 12 and Ulberg is ranked number 18, because just looking at their let's see, looking at their UFC career, Contender Series lost his first fight, which is pretty bad, but Nunchaku is not too bad. I mean, he had a disappointing fight against Oven St. Preux, but so let's say 5 wins in a row in the UFC and 4 by finish, and then Menafield is on a 4-fight win streak. This is a really bad loss in my opinion. William Knight, that guy is really powerful, but like he's so low output, and Menafield is really low output. Devin Clark, Oven St. Preux, those aren't good losses. He hasn't beaten anybody crazy good, and the Jacoby fight, I'd say that he beat Jacoby, and I think he beat him, but that was simply only because of the 2 drops that he had. He had 1 drop in the first round, and I think in the third round, I'm not 100% sure, but he was getting pieced up in that fight, and that's Jacoby. Jacoby is definitely good. He has good output, and I like Jacoby, but I'd say Jacoby would have just, I mean, obviously, if he didn't get cracked, he would have won the fight, and that's like easy to say, and he did get cracked, so you can't really say that, but I'd say I think he's not going to have as many opportunities, especially against a person like Ulberg, to crack him, and he's going to stay on the outside, and Ulberg is just going to get the KO. At minimum, he's going to get the decision win. I don't see how he loses this fight other than just a flash knockout, or he gets caught. I mean, everybody can get caught. This is MMA. Anybody can lose. One punch is all it takes, especially in these higher weight divisions. But Ulberg by KO, medium high confidence on both the KO and him winning. Next up is Joaquin Buckley versus Nurulstan Roysaboyev in the co-main event. Looking up this fight and looking at the tape, I honestly wanted to be more confident in Buckley. I think my pick is going to be Buckley by decision, and the reason why I have him, but it's really low confidence, is just because he can mix in wrestling, his explosiveness and power is there. He doesn't have like crazy power, and I think Ruizaboyev has more power than him. Ruizaboyev is just the problem with him. He is a 185er, hasn't fought in 170, hasn't fought at 170 at for like 3 years, I believe, and he has just hasn't fought in anybody that good. And I think that these submission wins, these 20 submission wins that he has, are fraudulent. Like just looking at some of his fights, 0-1, 5-1, 5-5, 0-0. He's kind of beaten cans. I mean, he definitely has some good wins in there against like good competition. Maybe. I mean, you can't really tell since I didn't watch him, so I mean, a lot of people aren't gonna watch him, but he hasn't beaten anybody that good. I mean, Cedric Dumas, he eye poked him 2 times. Maybe it's because of the eye poke, and he still ended up getting the win even after that. Um, I'd say this was a good win for sure. It definitely shows that he has power, and his uppercuts are pretty good. I feel like his understanding of striking is good. But I feel like Joaquin Buckley is just, he hasn't faced anybody like Buckley, at least at the level of Buckley. And I'd say the fact that this fight is at 170, I have to edge it towards Buckley. Buckley by decision just because, I don't know, Ruizaboyev could be pretty tough. I mean, he seems tough. He has a lot of finishes. Finishing upside is probably on Ruizaboyev. I can see him knocking out Buckley. That's the only reason it's low confidence on Buckley, but I think Buckley will be able to work in the wrestling, work in kicks, stay on the outside, and just use his lighter weight to bounce around, be faster than him, and avoid these punches. And I feel like he'll win by decision. It could be close. I mean, I have it. The pick is really low confidence, but I have Buckley. Last up, Derek Lewis versus Rodrigo Nascimento in the main event. I'd say Nascimento. He, I'm not surprised by this, but the odds are pretty close. I'd say Derek Lewis. He's just a power puncher. I mean, like he can knock you out with like any punch. Like he is explosive for how big he is. He's powerful. He's faced pretty much all top dogs. I mean, all his losses are decent. Jolton Almeida, I rate him pretty high. De Lima, that was crazy that he knocked him out in like 30 seconds. Spivak, I mean, he's not like crazy high level, but he has good takedowns. So that's like that's not the best loss though compared to his other losses like Pavlovich. Pavlovich is pretty much knocking out everybody. Tai Tuivasa, that's not the best loss actually, to be fair. But I mean, these are against high level guys at still top 10 guys. And looking at him, looking at Nascimento, Dontel Mays, he submitted him before, but then went to a decision with him. I'd say I don't think in this fight he was able to get takedowns. So I feel like looking at his other fights, um, he isn't dominating them enough to show that he can beat someone like Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis, he's definitely never faced anybody like Derek Lewis, nor power punching level. He got knocked out by Chris Dawkins, and it kind of looked like he was just like really slow to the punch. I mean, Nascimento's way to win is taking down Lewis, but I don't even know if he can take him down. Like, if he's not able to like take down everybody at low level at will, because the UFC heavyweight is just like pretty low level outside the top 15, and even in the top 15, it's not the best level, but technique wise and technical wise. But I'd say Nascimento, he just won't be able to get the takedowns, and Derek Lewis is just gonna knock him out in the first round because I mean that's just what he kind of does against like these lower level people. He like pretty much all his wins are by knockout. Just looking at it, 22 out of 27, so five wins elsewhere by decision or submission. I mean his last 2 wins are pretty far apart in 2021, 2023, but first round, first round. Second round, Curtis Blades, which is a wrestler, and I'd say his Rodrigo's way to win is by wrestling, and he's not gonna be able to do it. And I'd say yeah, first round knockout for Lewis, and you just kind of gotta back him because he's just that guy, and his balls is hot. All right, that's my breakdown for UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Nascimento. Thanks for watching.